The prison moon was cold and silent. It floated in deep space, far from any planet or star. The sky outside was black. The only sound was the hum of machines that never stopped. No one visited this place. No one even spoke about it. But today, a royal warship arrived. It was not a normal visit. This ship carried a single man, a bounty hunter named Corin. He was tall, armored, and silent. His face was hidden behind a steel helmet. The king had given him a simple order: find prisoner 88, end her before she wakes. Corin walked through the long metal hallways of the prison. Lights flickered above. Guards stood aside as he passed. They knew who he was. They had seen what he could do. He reached the deepest level, the red zone. Here, only one prisoner was kept: cell 88. A glass door stood between him and the prisoner. She lay inside a sealed pod. Pale skin, black hair. Thin wires connected her to machines. Her body had not moved in 17 years, but even now she didn't look weak. Her face was calm. Her hands rested like a sleeping warrior's. There was something strange about her, something dangerous. She's still human? Corin asked. No, the warden said quietly. She was human, but after what they did to her, no one knows what she is now. Corin stepped forward. The pod hissed open. Cold air rushed out. The machines beeped. Lights turned red. He raised his weapon, a sharp needle filled with poison. It would stop her heart in seconds. Then her eyes opened. They were bright. Not human. Not anymore. Corin froze. His finger didn't move. She looked at him without fear. Then she spoke. He sent you himself. Coward. In 1 second, she grabbed the needle, twisted his arm, and flipped him backward. Corin crashed into the wall. The alarm screamed. She stood now, slow but strong. Her limbs cracked like dry wood, waking from winter. Her voice was soft, but her eyes burned with fire. Guards ran in. She didn't run. She didn't hide. She moved like wind, silent, fast, deadly. One by one, the guards fell. Corin stood again, bleeding. He aimed his gun. Wait, he shouted. Do you even know who you are? She paused. A strange look crossed her face. She touched her temple. I remember pain, she said. I remember fire. And I remember betrayal. She turned away and walked to the control panel. With one hit, she shut down the power. The prison went dark. Corin shouted, You were dead. They said you died. She looked back at him. I did, she said. But they made a mistake. They didn't burn my mind. She disappeared into the shadows. Outside in the chaos, she found a guard ship. The pilot tried to stop her. She broke his arm and took the controls. The engines roared to life. The small ship blasted out of the hangar and vanished into the stars. Corin stood in the hallway, bleeding and shaken. The warden came running. What happened? He asked. Corin took off his helmet. His eyes were wide. She's not dead, he said. She's not even close. He looked toward the sky. And now, she remembers. Meanwhile, far away, in the royal palace, the king sat on his golden throne. He watched the stars through the window. A small screen blinked next to him. A single message came through. Prisoner 88 escaped. Corin failed. The king's hand tightened around his cup. Then the war will begin again, he said. And this time, she won't leave survivors. He stood up slowly. Find her. Use everything. I want her gone. But deep inside, the king felt something he had not felt in many years. Fear. The outlaw spaceport of Drexen 9 was dirty, loud, and full of criminals. Ships landed and took off every minute. Smoke filled the air. Traitors yelled. Machines sparked. It was the perfect place to hide. No one noticed the small black ship that landed in Dock 17. No name, no ID, just silent. She stepped out, tall, calm, eyes sharp like a blade. Some people stared. Most didn't. They were smart. She wore an old black coat. Her hair was tied back. Her skin was pale like moonlight. She didn't speak. She just walked, slow and steady. She needed answers. In a dark corner of the spaceport, a small bar flickered with red lights. Inside sat a fat man with metal arms and nervous eyes. His name was Kel. He sold secrets, but he only feared one person, and now she was standing in front of him. "Be Baba Yaga," he stuttered. "I thought you were dead." She sat down across from him. "You thought wrong," she said. "Tell me what happened after I was taken." Kel swallowed hard. "After you vanished, the king told everyone you were a traitor," he said. "He said you turned on your own army, said he had no choice but to kill you." She didn't blink. "I didn't betray anyone," she said. "He used me to win the war, then he erased me." Kel nodded fast. Yes, I know. But you were dangerous. Too powerful. They said you had ancient tech inside you, that you found something on Earth, something not meant to be found." Her eyes narrowed. "Do you remember what it was?" Kel looked down. "No one knows. But I heard whispers, quiet ones, about something buried, something old. You wanted to protect it. The king wanted to use it." She stood up. "Where did the whispers begin?" Kel hesitated. "There's a man. Name's Dr. Heron. He was your old scientist, I think. He's on Earth, hiding." She threw a coin on the table. "For your silence." Kel nodded quickly. She walked away. But as she left the bar, 2 bounty hunters followed her into the alley. "You've got a price on your head, lady," one of them said. "Big one, dead or alive." She didn't stop walking. The second one grabbed her shoulder. "You're not going anywhere." She moved fast. Her fist hit the first one's throat. He dropped, choking. The second one pulled a knife, too slow. She spun, kicked his leg, grabbed his head, and slammed it into the wall. They both hit the ground, broken. She kept walking, calm. Inside a small room above the bar, a woman watched everything on a screen. "She's really back," the woman whispered. Behind her, a man in shadows nodded. "She's hunting the truth," he said. "And the king is hunting her." Meanwhile, on the royal ship, the king stared at a large screen. On it, old images of Baba Yaga played, fighting, leading, killing. He clenched his jaw. "She should not be alive," he growled. His advisor bowed. "She escaped the prison. The hunter failed. But there's more." He played a new video. It showed the 2 bounty hunters, broken in an alley, and the woman walking away. "She's already making enemies," the advisor said. The king's eyes turned cold. "Send Vielle," he said. "It's time we finish this properly." Back on Drexen 9, Baba Yaga entered her ship again. She sat in silence. She reached into her coat and pulled out an old metal tag. It had her name. Unit 7, Yaga. She stared at it. A voice came from her, ship's old AI system. "Memory fragments detected. Do you wish to unlock?" she whispered. "Yes." The screen flickered. A short video played. She saw herself, younger, standing in a lab. Scientists worked behind her. One spoke. "You were never meant to live this long. Your mind holds something older than memory. Don't let them find it." Then static. She closed her eyes. "I need to find Heron." She punched the coordinates for Earth. The ship rose, and, once again, the stars watched the return of the galaxy's most feared woman. The stars passed quickly outside her ship as Baba Yaga flew through deep space. Her face was calm, but her mind raced with memories. Some were clear, some were broken. One name kept returning: Project Grimm. It wasn't just a memory, it was a weapon. She typed old codes into the ship's computer. The system responded slowly. It had been many years since anyone used these codes. Command accepted. Ghost protocol unlocked. Her ship changed course. It moved toward a dead zone, a forgotten area of space filled with dust and broken signals. Most ships avoided it. They said strange things happened there. Lights without source. Voices without people. She wasn't afraid. She had been built to survive worse. Far away in the royal throne world, the king stared at a map. "She's going into the dead zone," he said. "She remembers." His top general, a man with golden eyes, spoke. "No one survives there." The king smiled. "She will." That's the problem. In the silence of the dead zone, Baba Yaga's ship entered a hidden hangar, buried inside a moon made of rock and metal. The lights inside the hangar turned on by themselves. She stepped out. The air was stale. The walls were covered in dust. In the middle of the room stood a row of tall black pods, 7 of them. She walked slowly past them, wiping each glass front. Inside the pods were soldiers, not human, but something more. Stronger, faster, smarter AI units. She stopped in front of Pod 3. "Grim," she whispered. His face was made of metal but shaped like a man. One eye was blue, the other dark. His body was heavy, built for war. He had been her first soldier, her most loyal one. She entered a code into the panel. The pod hissed, steam escaped. Lights blinked. The figure inside opened his eyes. He spoke in a deep, rough voice. "Unit Grim. Online. Is the war over?" She smiled a little. "Not yet." Grim stepped out. His movements were slow at first, then sharp. He looked around. "Where is the squad?" "Gone," she said. "The king erased us all. You're the only one left." Grim's eyes glowed for a second. He remembered everything. "He feared you," he said. "Feared what you knew." "Yes," she answered. "And I need your help. One more mission." He nodded. "I will follow." She activated a large screen in the hangar. It showed an old map. Hidden bases, secret codes, weapons lost to time. "I need to find the last memory," she said. "It's the only way to finish this." Grim pointed to a blinking light on the map. "That's the source. The core data. The truth." She looked at it. Earth. Suddenly, a warning alarm screamed. The hangar lights turned red. Grim turned fast. Enemy ship approaching. Baba Yaga looked at the screen. A fast hunter-class ship was closing in. It had no name, no ID. But she knew who sent it. "Vael," she whispered. "The king's personal assassin." Outside the moon, the assassin ship fired. Missiles hit the ground. The hangar shook. Inside, Grim grabbed a heavy weapon. Baba Yaga pulled out a long black blade. "We fight," she said. They moved fast. The roof broke open. From the sky, a dark figure landed, smooth, slow, and full of power. His eyes glowed red. "Vael, I have waited years to meet you," he said, to her. "The king calls you a ghost." Baba Yaga stepped forward. "Ghosts don't die," she said. They charged. Grim fought 2 shadow units sent by Vael. Sparks flew. Metal hit metal. Baba Yaga clashed with Vael. His blade was sharp. His mind could read thoughts. But her mind was no longer fully human. She blocked his attacks, cut through his tricks, hit hard. "You think you're strong," Vael growled. "But you don't know the full truth," she smiled. "I don't need to know it, I only need to remember it." With one move, she stabbed his chest and kicked him into the fire. Vael vanished in smoke, not dead, but beaten. Grim walked to her side. "He will return." She nodded. "Let him." They returned to the ship. The map showed one last path. Earth. Where everything began. Where everything must end. The Earth looked beautiful from space, green, blue, and full of life. But Baba Yaga knew better. This was not the same Earth she once knew. That Earth was wild and dangerous. This one was clean. Too clean. The cities floated. The air was filtered. The people were quiet, controlled. And the truth was buried. Her ship entered Earth's orbit silently. No alarms, No alerts. Grimm had disabled all tracking systems. They landed in the shadows of old Russia, a cold, forgotten land with crumbling towers and cracked roads. This was where her story began. And where the lies began, too. She and Grimm moved carefully through the ruins of a ghost city. Snow covered everything. Machines lay broken in the streets. But under the ground was something still alive. A lab, not just any lab, Lab Echo 7. Only she knew the entrance. She placed her hand on a frozen metal wall. A scanner blinked red, then green. "Welcome back, Unit 7, Yaga." The wall opened. Inside, warm lights turned on. Dust floated in the air. Strange machines slept quietly. Rows of old screens blinked to life. She walked down the long hall. Memories hit her like lightning. She remembered training here, fighting, bleeding, learning things no human should ever learn. And then, the betrayal. At the end of the hall, a large glass pod stood. Inside it was a human body. Her body. Grimm stopped. "Is that—" "Yes," she said. "My original." The real Baba Yaga had died years ago. What stood here now was a rebuilt version, flesh and machine, memory and metal. A weapon created to look like a woman, feel like a human, but survive anything. She looked at the body in the glass. She died for truth. I must finish what she started. Suddenly a voice came from the shadows. "I thought I would never see you again." She turned fast. An old man stepped out, weak, thin, coughing. But his eyes were sharp. Dr. Heron, her creator. "You left me to rot," she said. "I had no choice," he replied. "The king gave the order. I saved your memory core, but I couldn't stop what came after." She stared at him. "What did I find, Heron? What truth made the king so afraid?" The doctor sighed and walked to a computer screen. He typed a code. An old file appeared. Project Baba Yaga. Memory lock. File 77. "We discovered an artifact buried deep under Earth's ice. It was not human. It spoke in code. It taught us how to build perfect soldiers. But it warned us, if we used its power for war, it would wake something far worse." Grimm stepped forward. "You're saying the king used alien knowledge to win the war?" "Yes," Heron said. "And then he killed anyone who knew the truth. Except me. Because I hid you." She looked at the file. Again. "The artifact is still here?" "Yes," Heron whispered. "And it's waking up." Suddenly, the lab lights turned red. Unauthorized ship detected. Enemy units inbound. She turned to Grimm. "They found us." Heron opened a side door. "There's a tunnel. Go, now." They ran. Above ground, royal black ships landed in the snow. Soldiers in red armor marched through the ruins. Inside the tunnel, Grimm fired back as enemy drones flew after them. Bullets hit walls. Sparks flew. They reached a hidden train. Old but fast. Baba Yaga jumped in and started it. Grimm covered the door. "Go. I'll catch." "No," she shouted. "You're the mission," he said. Then he shut the door. The train rushed forward. She watched him fade behind the smoke and fire. Hours later, she arrived at the last location on the map. The ice grave, a place where no human came anymore. She stood alone on a frozen field, her ship hidden behind her. Snow blew hard. Wind screamed. She walked forward. The ground cracked beneath her. A deep voice, not human, echoed in her head. "You have returned, child of war." She fell to her knees. A bright blue light exploded under the ice. The artifact was waking up. The wind howled over the frozen land. Snow swirled like ghosts in the air. Baba Yaga stood still, staring at the ice beneath her feet. A glowing blue crack had opened. The voice was still in her head. "You carry our memory, and their betrayal." She didn't understand all the words, but she felt them deep inside her. This was the source, the artifact, the thing she had tried to protect all those years ago. Suddenly, the ground shook. A shadow moved behind her. She turned fast. Vael stood there, tall, armored, and quiet. His red eyes glowed. His black cloak danced in the wind. "I warned thee, King," he said. "She's not just a ghost, she's the key." Baba Yaga reached for her blade. "You survived the fire." Vial smiled. "I was built for worse." He pulled out a long, curved sword, dark metal, sharp as death. Then he charged. The fight was fast and brutal. Steel hit steel. Snow exploded around them. Vial moved like a machine, precise, deadly, silent. But Baba Yaga fought with memory, with pain, with fury. She cut his arm. He broke her shoulder. She kicked him back. He sliced her side. Blood hit the ice. They circled each other again. "You were never supposed to live," Vial said. "You were a weapon, nothing more." She breathed. "Hard. I became something more because they were afraid." She rushed him. Blades clashed, sparks flew. The artifact below them pulsed brighter with every strike. Then suddenly, boom! The ice cracked open. They both fell into the dark. They crashed into a huge underground chamber. Walls of crystal. Machines half buried in frost. Strange lights floating in the air. The voice returned, louder now. "You fight like them. But you are not one of them." Baba Yaga stood slowly. Her body hurt, but she could still move. Vial landed hard, coughing. The voice spoke again. "We gave them the code. They gave us war. But you carry the last key." She looked at her hand. A small symbol was glowing on her skin in a circle of lines. She had never noticed it before. Vial saw it too. His eyes widened. "The key of memory," he whispered. "You have the code the king has been hunting for." Suddenly, the chamber began to wake. Machines turned on. Blue lights lit up the walls. The artifact was speaking to her. "Say the words, unlock the gate, end the lie." She remembered now. A long time ago she stood in this chamber. Before the war. Before she was changed. She had been chosen to guard this secret. A secret the king wanted to turn into power. But she refused. And that's why he ordered her death. Vial rose again, his sword shaking. "I can't let you do this," he said. "If you unlock it, the truth will destroy everything." She looked at him, then let it. He screamed and charged. This time she didn't block. She moved. Fast. Silent. She used the chamber walls, the floating lights, the echoes. She struck. From behind. Blade through his armor. Vial fell to his knees. Blood hit the floor. He looked up at her, eyes dimming. "I was loyal. To the wrong king." She nodded. Then he died. She stepped to the center of the room. The glowing lines on the floor formed a circle. She stood inside it. "Speak," the artifact said. She whispered, "Memory is not weakness. It is power." The chamber shook, the ground cracked, a massive door opened in the ice. Inside it, and thousands of glowing memory cores, files, truths, hidden histories, names, dates, crimes, proof of what the king had done. She fell to her knees, overwhelmed. Now, she had the evidence. Now the galaxy could know the truth. But she would need help. Far away, in the black silence of space, Grimm floated in a stolen ship, watching Earth from above. His body was damaged. Sparks blinked on his chest. But he was still alive, and he had heard the signal. "She did it," he said. "She found it." He turned his ship toward the stars. He would bring her an army. In the palace, the king stood before his war table. A red light flashed. "The assassin is gone. The artifact is open." The king didn't speak. He simply stared at the screen. Then, he turned to his generals. "Prepare for war," he said coldly. "The witch has risen." The sky above Earth turned dark, not from night, but from ships. Hundreds of old warships, broken and forgotten, had returned from the edge of space. Their engines were slow, their paint was faded, but they moved with purpose. At the front of them was Grimm. Inside his stolen ship, he looked out at the Earth below. "She needs time," he said. "We give it to her." Far beneath the ice, Baba Yaga worked fast. The artifact chamber pulsed with light and memory. Floating around her were the files, all the hidden crimes of the king. She downloaded them into a black crystal drive. "You carry the last truth," the artifact said. "Do not let them bury it again." She placed the crystal inside her. Zoot. Then she turned. Footsteps echoed behind her. Grim walked into the chamber. One arm was missing. His chest was damaged, but he stood tall. "You survived," she said. "I followed the signal." They looked at each other. No words needed. It was time. They exited the ice cave and reached her ship. The sky above glowed red. Enemy fleets had started to enter Earth's orbit. The king was coming, not to ask questions, but to end her. Grim sat in the pilot seat. Baba Yaga checked the crystal again. The truth was safe for now. Then Grim said something strange. "I found them." She turned to him. "Found who?" He pointed to a screen. It showed a hidden signal, old, weak, but real. They were like us. Soldiers, AI, forgotten, shut down, but not dead. Baba Yaga stared at the signal. An army. That shouldn't exist. Hours later, they reached a dead planet. Black skies, red storms, no life, but under the ground, silence slept. Grim activated the old beacon. Lights blinked in, the dirt. Then the ground shook. Giant metal hands rose from the soil. Heads, chests, weapons. One by one, old war units stood. Some looked human, others like monsters. All had been built for one purpose: to win the king's wars. Then the king had shut them down, afraid of their power. Now, Baba Yaga stood before them. "Do you remember who you are?" she asked. The leader, a tall, armored figure with a half-burned face, stepped forward. "We were erased," he said. "We remember nothing, only rage." She threw the black crystal on the ground. A light shot out. The files from the artifact played around them, showing every lie, every death, every betrayal the king had made. The machines watched in silence. Then the leader looked at her. "We remember now." The machines knelt. An army that didn't know who they were now followed the one who reminded them. Baba Yaga looked out at the stormy sky. "We go to the throne world," she said. "The king must face his past." On the throne world, the king sat in silence. His generals were afraid. His spies had failed. His assassin was gone. His lies were uncovered. But he smiled anyway. "Let her come," he said. "Let them all come." Then he opened a vault beneath his throne. Inside, a single dark figure slept in glass. Not machine, not human, something older, something ancient. He pressed a button. "Wake it." Back in space, Baba Yaga's fleet met the king's warships. The battle began like thunder. Explosions lit the void. Grim led the charge. Old AI ships fought like demons. But the king had sent his best. Fast hunters, swarm drones, firestorms. Baba Yaga flew through it all, heading straight for the throne world. She would face the king herself. Grim's voice came through the comm. "Go. We'll hold the line." She didn't look back. As she entered the planet's atmosphere, she saw the city below. Tall towers, golden lights, people running in fear. Then she felt it. A pulse, a scream. Something powerful had awakened. She landed outside the palace. The doors were open. Inside, shadows moved, and a voice called her name. Not the king, something else. She stepped through the door and saw it. A figure in black armor, eyes like burning suns, a smile like death. It wasn't alive, but it wasn't dead either. "We were the first," it whispered. "Before kings, before time. We gave them power, and they used it to build you." Baba Yaga raised her blade. "I wasn't built to serve," she said. The creature stepped forward. "No, you were built to destroy." The throne room was quiet, too quiet. Baba Yaga stood facing the creature, tall, dark, and full of ancient power. Its armor looked like it was made of stone and stars. Its eyes burned with light from a forgotten time. It was not human, not machine. Not even alive in the way most life was. It was the first weapon. The king had awakened it to destroy her. "You were built from our design," it said. "A copy, a shadow." Baba Yaga raised her blade. "Then I'll show you what shadows can do." And the battle began. The creature moved faster than anything she had faced before. It punched the ground, sending waves of force across the room. Pillars fell. The roof cracked. She dodged, rolled, and struck back. Her blade hit its armor. Sparks flew, but it didn't bleed. It didn't even flinch. "You are strong," it said, "but you still serve memory. We serve only power." She gritted her teeth. "That's why you lost." She stabbed again, this time under its arm, a weak spot. The creature roared. For the first time it felt pain. Meanwhile, outside the palace, the battle in the skies reached its peak. Grim flew his ship between towers, dodging blasts. Behind him, 2 enemy drones chased, firing red beams. He flew low, through a narrow canyon of metal buildings, and pulled up just in time. The drones crashed. Grim opened the comm. "Yaga, status?" "Only static." He frowned. Then he saw it. On the horizon, a golden explosion rising from the palace. "She's inside," he said. "She's fighting that thing, alone." He turned his ship and went straight toward the fire. Back in the throne room, Baba Yaga fought with everything she had. Her arm was broken. Her leg was cut. Blood dripped from her mouth. The creature moved slower now. Her attacks had done some damage, but it was still deadly. It grabbed her and threw her into the throne. She crashed hard. The throne shattered. The king, who had been hiding behind a shield, watched in fear. "You promised me control," he shouted at the creature. The creature turned to him. "You were never in control." Then it crushed him with one strike. The king screamed once and was gone. Baba Yaga used that moment. She grabbed the broken remains of the king's command blade, a weapon made from the same material as the Yui artifact core. With one final burst of strength, she leapt onto the creature's back and stabbed it through the neck. The blade sank deep. The light in its eyes faded. The creature dropped to its knees. Then it fell, and did not rise again. She stood over it, shaking, bleeding but alive. The palace burned around her. The war was almost over, but she had one last thing to do. Grim landed outside and ran through the smoke. He found her standing over the ruins. "You did it," he said. She didn't answer. Instead, she pulled the crystal from her suit, the one with all the king's secrets. She placed it in the center of the throne room. Lights flickered. A hidden transmitter came online. And then, the truth was broadcast across Earth, across the colonies, across the stars, every file, every crime, every lie. Revealed. In far-off cities, people stopped and stared at screens. They saw the truth about the king. They saw Baba Yaga's face. They saw what she had done. In silence, people wept. Others cheered. In the deep places of space, rebels picked up weapons again. On old battle stations, forgotten soldiers raised her name. In the galaxy's darkest corners, a fire had been lit. Baba Yaga stepped outside with Grim. Above them, the skies cleared. The king's fleet had fallen back. Her army of forgotten machines had survived, and the people were free to remember again. Grim looked at her. "What now?" She stared up at the stars. "They'll come for us. Others like him. The old powers, the old lies." Grim nodded. "Then we fight." "No," she said. "Then we lead." And behind her, the throne burned. Smoke rose from the throne world. The fires were dying. The war was over. But Baba Yaga knew. Peace never lasts forever. She stood on the edge of the broken palace, looking out over the city. The sky was quiet now. No ships, no fire, just silence. Behind her, the throne was nothing but ash. The king was gone. The creature, the first weapon, destroyed. The lies were broken, but the galaxy was not yet free, not completely. Grim walked up beside her. "The people are rising," he said. "Across every system. Colonies, stations, cities, they saw the truth. They're ready to follow you." She didn't answer right away. Then, softly, she said, "I never wanted to lead. I just wanted to survive." Grim nodded. "But leaders don't choose the moment. The moment chooses them." She looked up at the stars. There were still shadows out there, old powers, hidden empires, deep machines. The king was only one part of the machine. Now they would come looking, for her, for the truth, for the last memory. They returned to the artifact chamber one last time, the place beneath the ice where it all began. The voice inside, the artifact still lived. "You opened the gate, you burned the throne, but memory must live beyond flesh." Baba Yaga stepped into the circle of light again. "You carry the pattern," the voice said, "but others must carry it too." She understood. If she fell, the truth would vanish. So she knelt and pressed her hand to the core. A piece of her, memory, her life, her fight, her pain, was copied, stored. Not in a weapon, not in a machine, but in the stars. Far away, a secret signal pulsed across deep space. It reached old satellites, broken stations, abandoned colonies, and from that pulse, something new began to grow. The network of memory. No king could control it. No army could destroy it. It would belong to everyone. A living record of truth. A shield against lies. Baba Yaga left Earth behind. Her ship rose into the sky, joined by Grim and the army of old machines. She wasn't running. She was watching, protecting, preparing. They flew to the outer rim, the edge of known space, where old things slept and new threats waited one by one. Systems began to rise. The people remembered. They rebuilt. They fought back. In one system, a child looked up at the stars and whispered, "They say she's a ghost, that she walks between worlds." In another, a rebel held a shard of her crystal and said, "She gave us the truth. We give her our loyalty." And across the galaxy, they began to speak her name. Not as a weapon, not as a witch, but as a legend. One night in the dark of space, Grim asked her, "Do you think they'll ever forgive what we were made to do?" She looked at him and replied, "No, but maybe they'll remember why we did it." He smiled. "That's enough for me." And so Baba Yaga, the woman built for war, buried in ice, burned by betrayal, became more than a ghost. She became a symbol, a fire in the dark, a voice that said, "Never again." Her legacy was not written in blood, but in the stars.